All right, councillors. Time being 8:30. Meeting will please stand. Councillor Plum, could I actually lead us in prayer this morning, please?
Almighty God, we acknowledge that we have a responsibility to look after your creation, especially this region we call Buckland Regional Council. We are conscious that our decisions are going to affect the people we have come here to serve. Assist us to exercise respect for councillors, staff and for the people of our region. Help us in this meeting to act wisely, justly and intelligently in all our deliberations. Thank you, Lord, for the privilege of both leading and serving, and assist us to do this well. Amen.
Amen. Councillors, we have condolences for Terry Westcott of Jericho, Cole Griffiths of Alpha, and Laura Orr of Barcaldine. Are there any others? If you please observe a minute's silence. Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet, and the Greater Barcaldine Regional Council area and their elders, both past, present and emerging. Declarations of prescribed conflict of interest. Are there any?
I believe so, Mr. Mayor.
Does any councillor present believe another councillor may have overlooked declaring a prescribed conflict of interest? Declarations of declarable conflicts of interest, other than those already declared.
I don't believe so, Mr. Mayor, sir.
Mr. Mayor, the ones that we generally have.
Yep,
You want
so-
to declare it?
No.
Also, the Alpha Information Report 3.6.1 and 391 Arrow Information Report. They have mentioned the barrels for cause and Ballonese, which I've got conflict of interest in due to my donated one artwork to those in the past. So I was going to ask whether I could stay in with those reports.
Just on the basis that we're only receiving a report and not making a decision, I think we're only doing this, you're only really declaring it an abundance of caution anyway, so I'm happy to move that you stay in the room. Seconded Councillor Plum. Those in favour, 6-0. So for those information reports linked to those events, you are 361 and 390. Is that right?
Also, I know that 391 is engagement, community engagement, which is just mentioned in Scottish Road.
Okay.
It's an old one.
That's an old one. So 361.
361 and 371.
371. Okay. Does any councillor present believe any other councillor present has a declarable conflict of interest in any matter before council today? Nope. Thank you. have somebody move that we receive the minutes of the 13th September general meeting? Councillor Arthur moved we receive. Councillor Plum moves seconds that we receive them. Those in favour? 7-0. Comments, questions or alterations, please? Might somebody move that they be confirmed? Councillor Gleeson moves, seconded Councillor Plum. Those in favour? 7-0. Petitions. Do any staff or councillors have any petitions to present in the proper form? None. Will somebody move my report to be received, please? Councillor Peoples, seconded Councillor Hanson. Those in favour? 7-0. I just want to add a meeting in there that occurred on Friday. I'd overlooked it forthcoming in my calendar when I sent the final version of this through. I had a meeting with what is essentially the Central Queensland RDA and the University of Central Queensland regarding the development of the NBN, the CQ digital strategy. There's a piece of work being undertaken by the university. And just while I touch on that, the digital strategy is a bit of it's being funded by the RDA, by our RDA, the Regional Development Australia Board, Central Queensland one, which picks up the 12 local governments from Livingston and Gladstone in the east to the Northern Territory border, so Rapid versus plus CQ Rock and Gladstone. It's not it wasn't a real onerous task to do the survey, but it was really difficult to partake when you're asked for one option answers on behalf of a community as diverse as Buckle or Central Highlands, because the challenges that people face are very different. So connectivity issues in Aramac and Muttaburra and options moving forward are distinctly different to connectivity issues in Alpha and Barcaldine, for example, where there's fibre. There's no fibre present in those other communities, so that's an option that fails. Plus you've got issues around power reliability in places like Muttaburra knocking out 4G. ADSL is challenging in Alpha at the moment. So there was quite a lengthy discussion from a number of mayors that we probably need to recalibrate the focus of that strategy. It was initially funded to allow an advocacy piece for councils to then seek further funding from the federal government. So like a catalyst document, but it probably isn't going to do much in the form it's in now. So we sort of sent them back to the drawing board a little bit. So there'll be a little bit more to watch in that space. It's not going to be the strategy that solves our panic for all cure for everything, but if we're going to get any value out of it as an advocacy document, it certainly needs a little bit of improving. We'll probably just open to take questions, really, if there is any.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that I didn't get the Alpha Jericho planning consultation, but were they, what was that, is there a good roll up there?
Jericho was a little bit light, 6 or 7, probably what I expected though, to be fair. But yeah, our Alpha was very well attended, probably the biggest community consultation crowd I've ever seen in Alpha. There was initial consternation about the flood mapping because they had all been written to, but the team at Real Planning did a good job of explaining that and they sort of understood it. There weren't really any questions around planning unrelated to flooding. There was probably a more general discussion around other political things in Jericho than this really. They just sort of accepted that the town floods and that's all there is to it. There was a couple of operational things come out of that one. There was a bit of a request to check a couple of maintenance issues around the levee in Jericho where they drive over it for one and some stormwater drains not clearing properly, so that was good. A good pick up. That's right, drainage in town too.
drainage and
Yeah.
footpaths around the schools in Alpha. So there's some good discussions.
And the Minister Grace Grace, that.
That was, she's the minister for a couple of things, but I met with her on that particular occasion on the education portfolio. There was a number of issues relating to, not issues, advocacy around inclusion of other sporting activities in the school sporting calendar, specifically rodeo, because there's a bit of interest from some schools to put a rodeo team in a high school rodeo competition that's in effect. So I met with the Minister on the sidelines of the Premier's State of the State address, and her and I agreed that we'll communicate further, but she's going to direct her department to what can be done in that space.
And the NBN rollout, like how the rollout issue.
Yeah, there is the company tasked with commissioning or installing the fibre have probably not had a great take up because of their poor communication technique or bad advice or something to that effect. The trick with that situation is the tech flip that we are actually part sponsors of with NBN, that the federal government did through RCP2 rollout, the grant that we received. Once that tech flip happens, the existing landlines are redundant, so you have to, it's kind of an ironical situation. If you want a phone, you have to opt in. It's not something that would automatically happen on your behalf. So every single home business that's inside the town area needs to physically register to flip, even though if they don't register, they're just getting cut off. So
they might, is that the issue is a lot of them don't realise.
correct. So as of yesterday, anybody who's seen anything on social media, we've started sharing a piece that Christy Sparrow, who was instrumental in assisting with this grant application in the first place, has been working with some representatives of NBN and we've been distributing that information now in Alpha. It will be going out in the Gazette and put in flyers for people in Alpha. Ventia are coming back, so this is the company that's installing the NBN. They're coming back in November, on the 15th of November. And NBN are bringing the big NBN truck as well, and they're going to be in town for quite a period of time explaining to people. So further to the post that I put out yesterday, is there's a more detailed document about what it means, how you sign up. There is another little snag that only arose yesterday afternoon in conversations with NBN. When we developed the grant application, we were very clear in articulating that Alpha has a really bad fixed power supply and there's extended periods of time with no power routinely, and that battery backup capacity was an inherent requirement for this to work, because it being fibre, no power, no phone is the simple answer. That was agreed to by NBN. However, somehow it's not in the scope for this project. So we still have a degree of body of work to do with them to get them to come back to the party. What is in the work is they are commissioning battery backup for the exchange, so the exchange will have power, but the responsibility at the moment is going to rest with individual homeowners as to what battery backup they use. And neither Christy or I think that's fair when it's your primary point of contact is that phone. It's your landline, that there should be an inherent capacity. There is, the technology exists. It's like a UPS, universal power source. The other challenges though with this is instantly, so if you switch from a standard Telstra landline connection to a voice over internet protocol, it's VoIP effectively is what it is, which opens up a whole array of providers. So you're no longer, out here, you're pretty well the only provider of landlines is Telstra. Moving to this, which is one of the positives of the tech flip, is it opens you up, but you have to pick somebody because your old Telstra connection is ceases the moment the day the tech flip happens. So registering and having the line and all of that installed is one step in the process, but then helping walk the people in Alpha through physically signing up for a new service provider for their phones is another trick. Indeed, having a discussion with Damien, we've got to really check that all of our council facilities, council-owned houses are registered or operated. Every individual premises needs to be both registered for it, but then someone has to select a service provider and connect that. So the information piece that NBN and NGA first put out was very, very poor, and it was literally pushed under doors. It wasn't even distributed by the post in a householder. So it was put in mailboxes or pushed under people's doors, like it just got thrown away, it looked like. So there's been some real stuff there. Now, we're very fortunate to have somebody as well versed on it all as Christy helping advise us on what's going right or wrong. There is an NBN rep for this area, Mick Allen, and we're trying to work through some of these issues.
If someone were to just they missed out, like, and they were cut off, can they still go back at a later date? It doesn't mean they just missed out. Yeah.
The problem is there's a fix. Yeah. Yes, without a phone, but B, they may have to pay for it themselves, pay for the connection. This here, that's right.
If they don't get in now, they might miss out on the
Correct. So the government's paid for this tech flip. So everybody that's flips today or part of this process is funded by the government, council and NBN to do it as a joint partnership. After that happens, if you build a new house, just like building a new house, I guess you have to pay for the phone or the internet to be connected. So if you don't flip as part of this process, say you own a house that you don't live in, you go, I'm not going to worry about it, and then in 6 months' time you choose, it will cost you personally to have the technology upgrade.
So that's all obviously going to be really out there so that people know.
As a result of the discussions I've been having with Christy since Friday last week, we've been developing a really strong communication piece around that. Yep. We did cop some stick last night from one resident. He said, what about the oldies that aren't on Facebook? That was just the first method we could get to get it out there. I think people undersell how many old people look at Facebook, to be honest, but yes, there'll be dedicated pages of information in the Gazette. Not just this time. Shane and Mick and I and Christy met several weeks ago, and we've agreed that there'll be in the rollout right up until the final switch over, a rolling series of information about. So at the moment, it's about how to get registered to be connected will be this piece, and then a piece in a later Gazette will focus on the need to select your service provider, provide tips on service provider pros and cons, or we may not publish that in our own document, but refer to the BIRRR website, which ranks service providers from top to bottom in terms of quality, same as they do for internet. So yes, we will have a different package of information in every step of the way, because it seems that that's going to be the only way we're going to get it through. Plus, NBN are going to come to some of the gatherings that the HAC or the CHSP groups do in Alpha and explain it to them as a group and then walk them through that as well.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, Councillor Lewis.
What area? Is it only in the township?
Correct. Yeah, north side's not even in it. It doesn't cross the creek. Anyone, I can share with council, I'll share with council because it's going to be in the Gazette anyway, a map that outlines the area. So on the map that you're getting, if it's purple, you can't get it. I'll send that through to you later in the morning. And that's the map that we're using to educate if you're inside that area. Apparently the uptake, Christy has told me overnight, has been sensational, and then we only pushed that out about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
Mr. Mayor, they also had, going from a previous town where they were setting up the NBN, talking to the contractors, they actually had a situation there where everyone thought it was a hoax. So they weren't game enough to, because the flyers went out to everyone's place, they thought it was a hoax, so they didn't worry about signing up. So they said it was like, 10 or 15 people had signed up for a bigger place. I'm not sure whether it was Dolby or down further.
Surat.
Surat,
I think it was
yeah,
Surat.
Surat, yeah.
So they are encountering very similar difficulties. I've
Yeah.
arranged for Maranoa Regional Council rep to reach out to Christie about this today.
Yeah.
So. Any further questions?
Mr Mayor, I was going to ask about, was there any outcomes from the Carry Red cattle driver?
Yeah, so we met Tuesday last week, and there's going to be a meeting a meeting called in Aramac for people interested in reforming the committee, and we'll have Shane's going to go along to that and discuss some insurance issues with them, and has already started that, and I think Councillor Peoples will go to that. So the outcome at this stage is they're really keen to run an event in May next year. So they wanted to check whether council had any issues with it, and we indicated that it's an event that we consistently continue to support, and we just had to sit back and wait now to see that they get their committee formed and that everything goes well. So we would hope that they'd give us some direction as to what their intent is prior to Christmas, so that we can help get the word out about the event. There's a few, I don't want to preface it because it was just the soon-to-be chairman's thoughts, but there might be a few slight changes to previous events, but same sort of concept: pick up the cattle, walk them into and out of town. 2 weeks, a 2-week event. Yeah, I think he was keen to have. Once again, I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but what he's keen to have is one group do all of one leg, one group of tourists, and then another group of tourists do all of another leg. And sorry, Paul was at that meeting as well. So yeah, but basically the same concept.
You drove and then some events at the end or throughout?
Or in the middle, or
Yeah.
at the start. Just there's some possibility about that race day. The Aramac committee's thinking about whether it moves its race day, which could change what events held, but they could then have a rodeo or something like that. So yeah, basically the same sort of stuff as what has previously been the case, which was pretty exciting. I thought it was good to see it back on. We haven't had one for a very long 8 years, is that right?
Yeah. Sorry, Mr Mayor, when did you say the CEO was going over to Aramac for the meeting?
Oh, they haven't called it
They got to
yet.
form a committee first.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so when it's on, but yeah, anyone's
Can
keen
you
to
let us
go.
know?
I think anyone that would like to go would show a lot of support for that committee, because it's sort of like a de facto arm of council in that respect when they're organising this. So yeah, the more support they have.
And through you, Mr Mayor, just the electrical vehicle charging station?
So following the launch, must be nearly 2 weeks ago now, the official opening of the Longridge EV charging station, a business owner in Alpha just said, how do communities go about getting registered for that? And I explained, our phase 3 location was selected as Mark Gordon by TMR. And he said, well, he'd be keen to understand any literature about the personal installation of them, or if there was, how we went about that. So I just said that at our next roads group meeting, that we had it as an agenda item anyway, to see the expansion of that, and then if there was some funding for it, well, we'd bring it back to this room for where, at the moment, those sites are being selected. The sites within the town is at council's discretion, but the towns that are being charged and funded to be charged are at the selection of TMR, because it's part of their EV superhighway. So yeah, that was generated by the media around the Longridge opening, and I did tell him that we had one coming very shortly.
I was just going to ask if ours was open yet. Oh, I actually thought ours was already open.
So
It's just covered up, isn't it? So, last of the rest of it was covered up.
I would suggest there'll be a little bit of potential fanfare the day they open it, like similar to last time.
Yeah.
Still got
To you, Mr Mayor, that is still, I had a look the other day, I think they're still waiting for the moving of that house of the electricity source. I had a meeting there with the installers and a representative from Ergon about that. I'll check that out. I'll email the company and ask where it's at.
Yeah. The tree planting, sorry, Councillor Gleeson.
I
Oh, you're right.
No, it's my comment, you're right.
No, I was just going to ask the question about the road boundary issues with the Isaac Regional Council.
Oh, okay, so it's not really an issue, yet, will be if we don't get proactive with it. So the boundary realignment has seen the extension of BRC approximately 18 kilometres to the east along Clement Alpha Road, because we have one of the properties that we gained in the give and take relationship is Isle of Plains. At the end of that is a road, we know it as Craven, well, but known from Craven Road from both ends, but currently it's in the Isaacs Regional Council when it leaves Clement Alpha Road, goes through Isla and Craven and meets in Tribani with us, so we own the southern end of it, they own the northern end of it. The only quirk that I've detected from a road basis is we will now own the first part of that, because we'll operate, Isle of Plains will be part of the BRC, so we'll own where it leaves Clement Alpha. It then goes into a property known as Craven for 10 kilometres, which remains in the Isaacs Regional Council, and then once it comes out of Craven, it comes back to us. So I had a brief chat to Senior Work Supervisors, Director of Works, CEO. We were all pretty well in agreement that for me to have a discussion with the Isaacs Regional Council Mayor in advance of the CEO doing the same to the CEO about a MOU, because what will inevitably happen is, because we've got both ends of the road now, we'll be blamed for the road being in poor state for that 10 kilometre bit in the middle. The Mayor was very, very agreeable to an MOU being negotiated with us for us to undertake the maintenance of that section of road on their behalf and instigate some sort of appropriate payment process so that we can just fix the road while we're there. Well, we're commissioning to do both ends of the road, we might as well just keep going straight through and do the work. So obviously there is a few things that will have to happen, condition assessment, ensuring the road's suitable when it's handed over to us in the first place, all of those things. There'll be some insurable things to discuss, liability issues about that road because it's still their road, so there'll be liability there. We'll have to discuss the contract relationship we have with them, but as a local government to local government relationship, those things can usually be put to bed very easily. So my side of that conversation is the technical side. Mine was just simply raising it as at a mayor-to-mayor level, and Mayor Baker was instantly, yes, we will gladly enter into a negotiated MOU with you to look after that road.
Thank you.
Anyone wants to have a look, it's the Craven Road. Yeah, we're picking up the intersection of Craven Road and so I'm just not sure, it hasn't been gazetted yet, as in it hasn't gone through the formal government certification process, but our boundary realignment requests have been approved in totality, and 2 additional very, very small parcels of land have been added to that. They're not rateable though, they're state watering reserves that are now going to fall within us because they weren't captured in the data that we picked up because they were inside in the Isaacs Council where they were at the time. So there has been a significant body of work being undertaken behind closed doors here to update our road length. We've picked up substantial road length on both that road and the Gullah Road, and we've lost a very small amount of, I think, 4.5 kilometres of Tumbar Road. But there's a clear net gain to us, as well as 18 kilometres, in the order of 18 kilometres of TMR assets. I've spoken with, and I think that's written. My apologies. It was only a phone call though, not a meeting, with the district manager for TMR, and Shane is writing to him to instigate a meeting so that we've got until the end of June before we pick up the responsibility for Clement Alpha. He's got some clear priorities for that additional section of road around some resheeting and a body of work to do. So we also pick up operation for an operational concern there. There's a wooden bridge that we pick up on that road. Currently that rests in the Isaacs area of responsibility. So we'll have to develop a protocol or work with TMR as to what protocol they want us to undertake for bridge inspections for the reopening of that road once it's closed due to water inundation over the bridge. TMR, in their regular catch-ups with me, TMR have flagged that road a long time before it became our problem. They have flagged that bridge as an issue of concern for them, and in terms of replacement moving forward. So it's a piece of work that they've been looking at. It's a bit of a, it's not just as simple as building a new bridge, because the current bridge goes underwater frequently. So if they want to raise the height of the bridge, then they've got issues with the approaches predominantly on the eastern side of that, because there can be water for most of that 18 kilometres that we've picked up can go underwater. So there's a lot more substantial body of work to be undertaken around what style the bridge will take. The new bridge will take, I should say. But broadly, that boundary realignment is very positive for us. It's a slight net gain in rates, and will definitely be very beneficial to us from a FAG's point of view, as we see an increase in our road length, which will increase funding awarded to us on that basis, and it will also increase our roads to recovery. Roads to recovery funded on a per kilometre? No, there's another one. LRCIP,
Not that
sorry.
I'm aware of.
Yeah, sorry, LRCIP is not.
My other question, Mr Mayor, just remind me again about the water, unsuccessful application at Aramac with the water with
So that was for the upgrade of the sewage treatment plant under Building Our Regions Round 6. Unfortunately, it was submitted as a design and construct project, and design and construct is not eligible. However, I had a conversation with the Director General about that, and he is having a chat to his colleagues at the Department of Environment and Science, because you remember there is a rectification plan in effect for that plan. There's going to be, there's more discussions to be had, but there's nothing to be concerned about at this stage about the delay in that. We have submitted an application for funding to design that. That was lodged on Friday, and if successful, that will have us ready for the next round of Building Our Regions. Building Our Regions are traditionally our experience with Building Our Regions. The most recent one is the Globe Viewing Tower. That was funded as a design project by the state, and then funded by them because the design was ready to go. It was funded through the maturing infrastructure pipeline. This is the same, it's called a different thing, but it's effectively the same type of componentry for that. So it's disappointing, but that's the breaks with discretionary grant programs such as BOR. You win some, you lose. Unfortunately, we lost this one primarily on the basis that it was an ineligible application. On the method of, not because of what we're applying for, but the method in what we were applying to do. Because the BOR round 6 was broken into two distinct streams, a design stream and a construct stream. So you submitted projects that you wanted funding to design on this side, and projects that were designed ready to construct on this side. We went to the construct side for a design and construct project. But they luckily didn't spend all the design money.
Well, it's just about to ask Mr. Mayor, did they spend all that?
Hence the offer.
Yeah.
They offered it to us. Offered us to apply for it.
Or, yeah, on that basis.
I'm not going to put my cart in front of the horse to suggest we've got it. We'll have to wait and see what happens. The Director of Works and the CEO worked on that application last week. Yeah, Councillor Plum.
Mr. Mayor, what was the tree plan?
It was a Flinders,
Australia?
Australia's.
Flinders Australia. It was selected by the district manager, who has significantly better knowledge of these things than me. The Mrs. Langdon loved it. She just said, "I hope that I have better luck with this tree," because I think she may have planted another tree that didn't have so much luck. So it looks like on the little card that's on the side of it looks like a beautiful shade tree, where if it strikes and gets going there, it should be really good. And that's what I was going to comment about before, that school kids were very excited to be a part of that. It was great to have them all there. One of them found a calligraphy pen on the way out, so she had her day made straight up. All right, no further comments, questions? The next month's going to be a little bit busy. As you inevitably see on the sidelines of the conference, there'll be a number of meetings that may not get, because they're just chance meetings that happen that might not get captured, but we will try very hard to make sure all of the face-to-faces that I have are captured there. Can I have somebody move the CEO's report be received, please? Councillor Peoples and Councillor Arthur seconds. Those in favour? 7-0.
Councillors, yeah, it's been a busy month again. Most of what we've done is fairly self-explanatory because we've all been part of it. The highlights, I guess, we want to look at is I did attend the Qantas Community Engagement Forum over at Longreach, where Qantas reps came and talked through the Qantas planning. That was informative, which was good. We spent some time with the department. Chris LaPrue came across to actually work closely with council to help students and locals with traineeships, apprenticeships, which was very supportive, and we're keeping that relationship alive to look at supporting opportunities for all our kids in the region. So that was quite productive. Elected member update, we all were part of that one. Deb and myself attended a meeting to look at new software to do with our meeting management, which will take a lot of the time and effort of modifying documents. We're just in the process of evaluating that presentation. But the software that we looked at there also aligns all our minutes along with our videos, so it'll be a lot more user-friendly for the community to see our meetings and target directly the video footage along with our minutes and resolutions. We've continued, obviously, we met with the department staff from over Rockhampton to look at our grants, who works for Queensland. We've got a bit of work to do in our reporting. They're going to work with us to improve our reporting across the board. That was good. We've obviously done a little bit of work in community care services where we've had some staffing issues. We've been reallocating some resources to different towns to help out our clients. One recently in Alpha, which is going well. So we're happy with that, but there's still a lot of work to do in that space. A few of us attended QRA updates to do with weather and mapping and reporting. That was informative. We had a meeting one night at the Heritage Centre with the Central West leader. The newspaper owners was talking about opportunities to work with us, more of a meet and greet to get to know everyone. We've finalised now the nursing agreement. We've got the changes in the agreement now. It's a matter of getting the document signed, which will expedite this week. Obviously the tree planting there. It was good to see the excitement on the kids with the tree planting. So the Mayor took advice from Mrs. Langdon. She was very informative about how to plant the tree, which was great, and the kids provide support as well.
Infinitely more knowledge than
But that was good. It followed on from the planning meetings. Obviously the audit reports happened. I had a discussion with the auditors. We're progressing well in that space, just trying to close it out for our audit committee meeting. We've got our expression of interest for ICT and audit. We're just about to engage to better understand our cyber and ICT. We've got a good roadmap plan to come out of that one. We're currently looking at our plant fleet requirements. As we've discussed a few times before, there's a lot of delays now in supply and delivery of machines. So we're looking at bringing some to the council as soon as next meeting about policy, where we talked about 1 to 2 years out when we start looking at purchase and replacement of the plant. It's a common problem across all councils at the moment. Our manager of people and culture, Adele Bidley, commenced with us last week. Adele's hit the ground running, visited all our work sites. Her first day was a baptism of fire. We took her out to 2 town planning meetings at Muttarborough and Aramac. I think it was a great opportunity for her to see the regions, and then as of yesterday she was at Alpha talking to staff, so we've got her on the ground. I'll bring her in and smoke her for an introduction.
Also think it'll be the last time she'll ever attend a planning meeting.
Yeah, so look, from an observer's perspective, she was quite interested in seeing how we performed, but I don't know, without putting words in her mouth, watching us perform is probably not the exciting time of her career. She was very impressed with me. As a getting a job for that one? No, it's all good. Obviously, the certified agreement, we've discussed now with the unions, that's out to go to the vote very shortly. So we've got some good traction in that place. The big one you'll notice if you're looking at some of our ads in the paper, we've started advertising for plant operators, labourers, so we've hit the market now looking for replacement staff. And the big ones we're finalising right now for recruitment is obviously corporate services, the fleet manager workshops out there. We're calling for various trades. We'll be actually looking, which we can talk about a bit later, about the comms and media and marketing roles we're pulling apart now to have a closer look, because there's some changes coming in that place. And we're obviously looking at refreshing our community care services and our procurement across the organisation, which is part of what we've been working on up to. So on that, it's probably better to take questions from there.
Councillor Plum.
I'm still thinking.
Councillor
Through you, Mr Mayor, just on the subject of a local laws officer, are we still investigating either a staff member or a contract option for?
We have been talking amongst the other CEOs in the region to have a look at collectively how we can share some resourcing as well, plus looking at our current RLOs, local laws. Our local laws need a refresh as well. So generally, we don't want to jump in and just fill the role.
The actual local laws.
Want to have a look at big picture between ourselves, Central Highlands and Blackwell, because we're all neighbours. There's an opportunity there to resource share. So we'll do that before we go to one.
Councillor Rogers.
Previous Mayor, the meeting with LGAQ about the, mention the website, online opportunity of some type. What was that? Are we looking at redeveloping it or?
Okay, LGAQ staff are actually visiting. They did a session at Longreach and paid us a visit on their way through the Blackwell as a refresh for staff to look at. We currently use their web design through Jarvik, so it was a bit of an update awareness of their support. But we actually, we can have support. We actually pay for that as subscription. They talked about the digital footprint, all the services that they're providing, and so generally it was an awareness for staff.
Bit of a training sort of exercise?
More of just an update of their services as part of our subscription. We're not utilising them as much as we could, and they're happy to work with us, and we're happy for that support as well. So it was really about partnering to get a little bit more proactive.
And the Qantas Community Engagement Forum, were they speaking to like what that informative meeting, was it about extra flights or like what sort of things?
Generally it was talking about the year that's been, number of flights, how Qantas is tracking worldwide, what they're looking for plane replacements in the future. Bit of general discussion from the community was about, additional flights, new paths, whether or not it would open up, to Rockhampton, Townsville, those type of things. There's a little bit of work from Blackwell over there to talk about opportunities for additional flights to different areas. Qantas wasn't prepared to commit more of a briefing session of the year that was and how they're recovering from COVID.
How are they? What was their take on that?
At this point in time, it's been a good return, good take-up. The general discussion, because we had baggage handlers and community, it was a good interaction. There was discussions with TransLink and the government subsidy, how it's good support for this region. There was just general discussion around the group about what we'd like to see. But yeah, it was more of an information session, a little bit of feedback.
Also, the Chief Executive Officer's meeting, what was that? Was that?
CEOs, but they used to call them cows, which is CEO TWS, which theoretically we have to check the spelling on that, but the general consensus from the CEOs, we've got new CEOs in the region, Baku and Longreach, a new one coming to Winton. It's about how we as a group can support each other, things like local laws or some job sharing, but be a support network for the new CEOs as well.
Is there like a border for that, like a certain area west of? It's not like the Rapid, it's like a different.
It's generally the Rapid councils.
Yeah.
I didn't realise they'd stopped calling themselves cows.
It's never really, it stopped being cows a few years back, and it sort of went its own ways, but we're trying to reinvigorate the cows. There's been a push that we change to bulls, but
Bulls.
there's
There is a very,
I've got to be careful how we say it. We still do have a female CEO, so. And Lynn's lovely, so I've never officially. So the general discussion around the table is how we as a group support each other going forward. So we're all struggling with resources.
it sort of did fall into a bit of a vein there where there was a lot of actings and relievings and the group sort of didn't have time, but I know Des Howard's been a stalwart for that cows group for a long time.
Yeah. So we've got the new CEOs at Diamantina, Winton, new one at Baku, so there's a new one at Longreach. We're just trying to have that network of support.
And the one last thing, the expression of interest that's it's developed for meeting and meeting functionality help. What was that like? I just don't really understand what it is.
Generated software. So at the moment, our meetings, our minutes, our reports are all very onerous. It's worded. But we want to get to the point where council community can go to an item and actually get video the item, and it's all through an app or through a program. So
they
it's to simplify.
Yeah, an expression of interest for someone to supply
Yeah.
software for that, yeah.
Before we engage in anything, we wanted to test to make sure that it's suitable for our needs.
And probably just one last question. The gap analysis that's being done on the workplace health and safety, will we be able to, councillors be able to have a report on that once
Yeah.
it's finished?
So I intend to present that to council. So we've engaged, that starts next week. So it'll be a 2 to 3 week site visit, photos, the good, the bad and the ugly,
Yeah.
for want of a better term, which will be a full briefing to council, because out of that will determine the priority steps to fix. So if we have a gap, we do a good job in safety, but we still want to make sure that we're ahead of the games.
Thank you.
Councillor Haynes. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Gleeson.
Well, good, thank you.
Councillor Peet.
I'm good, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Plum, you intimated a few moments ago you were still thinking, so does that mean you've now thought?
No, just answered all my thanks.
Very good. Can I have somebody please move that we receive the councillor information correspondence? Arthur, Councillor Plum seconds. Those in favour? 7-0. Letter of thanks and certificates of appreciation, if they speak for themselves. 333, Planning and Development Report. Can I have somebody move to receive that, please? Councillor Rogers, seconded Councillor Gleeson. Those in favour? 7-0. Questions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, can I just, you've got an inquiry about a hotel, a restaurant, catering, pharmacy, industrial business. Was that all one person?
I don't
Don't believe so.
Looks like they're all pre-lodgement type inquiries by the scope of them, because they're all listed in the status as closed, so obviously the advice has been back provided and
Probably not something we can put publicly at the moment.
No, I understand that, but just seems like what we were talking about yesterday may have triggered that. The other question I'd like to ask Mr Mayor is,
Actually, just hold, the 2nd of the 9th, when did we endorse the draft planning scheme?
Last month's meeting.
Yeah.
So these were received before the draft planning scheme. Was it last week?
All of us.
No, it was the meeting before because it was Councillor Arthur and Councillor Rogers who did the video post-meeting with us the next day.
It was.
And the last meeting, post-meeting video was Councillor Gleeson and myself having a yarn around a campfire. That must have been August. So yes, you're right, Councillor, these have been received these inquiries were received post the draft planning scheme being released, but I'm not necessarily reading into that, just confirming for you that they have definitely come in afterwards.
just looking down on page, can't help you with that. But it's just got, there was an inquiry about a storage shed. And the side setbacks are 2.5 metres.
Mm-hmm.
Is that too great?
That's just if it's to be self-assessable. You can have it less than that, it's just that then becomes accessible, like you've got to get approved.
Okay.
So if you're outside all of that, you just tick your own boxes. Move on.
Because there'd be so many buildings around our, especially our commercial areas that aren't 2.5 side setbacks, are
Lots.
they? Yeah.
Lots.
And I just wonder if that's what we've got in our new plan, do we consider changing that?
I think just out of for it to be self-assessable, I think 2.5 is good because that means that, this is my personal opinion from the chair, but if you want to be within that setback, I think you owe it to people to check that that's okay. And Kate went through at Jerry Code the reason for setbacks specifically related to activities that can occur in a shed causing a fire or something on a neighbouring property, hence the 2.5 is a standard setback arrangement.
That is a standard setback arrangement.
Yeah.
Seems unrealistic when we've got so many that are so close in our commercial area.
Remember, the planning scheme doesn't affect existing use.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
But this is still under the existing use.
That's right. There's a lot that get it. Bear in mind, there's probably some developments that occur don't have council approval.
Well, I understand that too, but I just noticed that there, have a look through that.
Yeah, it's not prescriptive that you can't develop within 2.5. There's just some steps you need to go through to notify your neighbour and
Yeah.
It just makes it, it has to be assessed.
Yeah, okay.
further questions on the planning report. Can I have somebody move?
Oh, sorry, Mr Mayor. We don't get that summary table anymore with the dollar figures per year.
Yeah, that's my fault, I didn't notice it.
It was something that Brett used to do, so we've asked him at Real Planning how that was calculated and where we get that information from.
Yeah, it's not an ideal breaker, but it's interesting just to see that
The cost.
how we track from previous years and, yeah. No, I've just noticed in the last couple of months there's been a lack or a very minimum level of applications, whereas normally we have half a dozen a month.
I wondered if, I was discussing this with the tradesmen the other day, if one of the reasons there's a lack of applications at the moment is because everyone just can't get anybody, so they're pausing their thought around future investment because the access, they're making the phone calls and they can't get anybody, so they sort of...
We can't come and see you for 6 months, so we'll wait for them.
Yeah, it's kicking that stuff down the curb.
Plus, supply chain with, whether it's a shed or a house or whatever, quite possibly.
That's probably how cost of materials go down too.
Through you, Mr Mayor, Councillor Peters, it does have a little note on, underneath those inquiries, it says that if councillors want any more information about those inquiries, they could read Tim O'Leary. I only just realised that.
Thanks, Councillor.
Tim, was he out here this week? last week. He did a tour with Kate and Greg.
His role will be the hands-on, plus the comparisons between our new scheme when it all gets implemented. It's a good resource to have.
334, Economic Development Report. Can somebody move that we receive that, please? Councillor Peoples, seconded Councillor Hanson. Those in favour? 7-0.
Just quickly speak to it, it's really Morgan's report, but the Truckstock Development, there and I am meeting with the gentleman on the 12th.
Tomorrow?
The rest of it is just progress is gone.
Council meeting dates. As best I can tell, after having reviewed this, there's minimal opportunity for clash. But has anybody detected something that could be an issue?
Previously, we haven't actually detected an issue, but the Bush councillors, are we doing that again?
No, I'm sorry, that was a mistake. It should be going to the,
Not yet.
yeah, I'll update the agenda.
If they haven't got their exact date out yet,
No.
if when they release their date it clashes with the meeting, we'll just move the meeting at that time. They'll have their date set for 5-6 months out, so we'll, I wouldn't like to change a meeting date a month out, but a couple of months out, it's not that we get a cast of thousands in the gallery, so it's not like people have taken a holiday or a day off work to come to a meeting 3 months in advance. So we can move that around, but this is good from a planning perspective for all of you, for mainly to build your respective diaries around the day of the month that you know we need you, but also for any important decisions that are required, especially other workshops like we discussed yesterday with respect to budget planning. Right, if there's no further, sorry, Councillor.
Mr Mayor, the Queensland Local Government Assembly, National Assembly, is over our budget 20th of June.
For which, sorry?
The 18th to 21st of June is the Queensland, the Australian Local Government Association, National Assembly. Now it's our budget adoptions there, so just something to think about next year.
No, let's move the date. Oh,
I just thought if you were going to it, that's all.
sorry, what's that? Australian Local Government Association, Queensland National Assembly. Or is that Queensland not meant to be in there?
I think Queensland wants to be there.
We'll shift the date for that now. No. August annual conference is from the 8th to the 9th. Sorry, that's in Baltimore, but whatever that Alga is.
We're not going there.
Yeah, it's 18th to 21st. So can I suggest we go the week after? I don't want to bring the budget adoption forward because the earlier you bring the adoption forward, the less accurate the estimated statement of financial position is. So if we were to go
27th of June.
7th of June.
27th is Monday. Oh, sorry, wrong year, sorry. Right, let's grab the 27th for now. No. Any further discussion? Councillor Peoples moves. Seconder. Councillor Gleeson. Discussion? Those in favour? 7-0. Very much.
Mr Mayor, so we still, or we are back to having a public gallery, or?
Yeah, since... Yeah, they line up next night, don't they?
No.
We did advertise that in the Gazette and a few other places.
Yeah, no, well,
Oh, the chairs are gone.
well, I've only noticed it This morning, I
They weren't
didn't,
on yesterday.
yeah, I didn't
Yes,
take
yes,
notice.
they were.
Were they?
Yeah, they've been gone since last week.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't notice them not there yesterday either, but then I was looking for it. Yeah. No, that's right.
we will need to get some chairs back in case somebody comes, because they might have to have yours otherwise, and you can stand your way.
Spare one there.
All right, 336, can I have somebody move the Web Health, Safety and Wellness report be received? Councillor Hanson, seconded Councillor Peoples, those in favour? Carried. Now, from a readability perspective, can I ask that you always check the headings, because the very first thing I saw on this report was the first words were workers killed by mobile plant, and I was horrified. And then I looked at the top and realised it was an external stakeholder risk update.
I think we might change the heading so you see external.
Talking to a number of councillors yesterday, I wasn't the only one that missed that.
I just thought,
Theoretically, if that happened, I'd be ringing you straight away
I would have hoped so.
after I ring the department.
Anyway, the report that we have been looking for has come back. Questions or observations, please?
Councillor Arthur, that's the one you were chasing?
Yeah. There's quite a bit in it, but I think it's because it's a couple of months' work. Yeah, you normally don't see that many incidents in a month, but that's over 3.
it's all great.
Yeah,
Some of it's back into June.
3-4 months.
Okay, all good. Can I have a resolution to defer agenda item 337 to the conclusion of the meeting, please? Moved Councillor Peoples, seconded Councillor Arthur. Debate, there being none, those in favour, 7-0, the agenda item is deferred. Just tracking my emails, councillors, I still haven't yet seen that response.
Really, Mr Mayor, I spent a couple of hours on it again this morning, and I think I'm more confused.
I was still here at 6:45 last night, and yeah, it's a complex matter, and as I suggested in the request for advice, Kate, the councillors are very keen to practically understand the on-ground impact the resolution will have. I really think pending advice around the potential urgency of it, I think we're going to have to physically stand in the spots that are affected potentially by this and gauge for ourselves the impact of it.
Mr Mayor, can I just add one thing?
Actually, no, sorry, we can't. I've deferred the agenda item, we'll discuss it at the end. Sorry, I shouldn't have even allowed myself to delve there. Is it about the process or?
Oh, it was just a request from one of the forums that we just have, it's simple so as, you know, layman can understand it. I think that's something we need to talk to the planners about too.
Yep. 341, financial report. Can somebody move we receive that, please? Councillor Plum, Councillor Arthur seconded. Those in favour? Carried. So, man. Have you got anything you'd like to note?
Take it as read and go for questions.
I have a question for you relating to, on page 52, the revenue year to date and our sales revenue versus budget. Is the budget just apportioned month by month, or is that money that we had expected to receive already and have not, or is there
It's on a percentage basis, Mr.
percentage basis?
For the proportion budget. That period.
As we get better timelines, we can push them back closer to that. Actually, it's not quite there yet.
Questions, councillors?
Through you, Mr Mayor, the 51, the net operating cash flow. Has a serious dive off.
It's Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, it's because others are for the full year and this is just for year to date.
Oh, okay.
So it hasn't changed through the year.
Yep.
This is what we go off with.
No, we've gone off the cliff, if that. All right, further questions? I have someone move we receive the project progress report 342. Councillor People, seconded Councillor Hanson. Those in favour? Carried. Samad, just noticed this morning there was a couple, was brought to my attention, there's a couple of projects in a few different goals that are already overspent by more than 10%. Have you not yet applied though the coloured boxes because those projects are not finished? Do you only do that on completion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, that's the, okay, we'll have a discussion more about the formatting of that during one of our budget workshops.
But one of the projects is complete, which Paula mentioned, district manager mentioned, I didn't update. Mr. Mayor, that's the Harry Redford Centre, the community halls.
Right. Air conditioning. Is there a sort of saving of 19,000 or is, when it is updated, it will eat into that 19,000?
Oh, there's definitely a savings there, Mr. Mayor.
Very good.
It's 19,000.
Excellent work. Although considering it's fully funded, that means he's got to move that to somewhere else, but there'll be overruns, so.
Yeah, we will do it very much. Might get a bit of glue for one of those chairs that cracked the other day.
Moving along, further questions?
Really, Mr. Mayor, the shade, the shade over deck is fully completed, isn't it? It's got 0%.
From what we've spent, that still would be correct. We haven't spent anything on it yet.
Oh, so it just doesn't, like when it says action, it's, I know that just meant it's 100% or it's 9% completed. It's not.
We're talking
That
shade
doesn't,
over
it's
there.
just depending on like how much we spend on it, it's not, doesn't say. Yeah,
Good question. It's
I
both.
misunderstood.
No, well, it could be the other way too, because it probably means both things. Solid dark sun and answer that though, just because there is a difference.
With the shade, Mr. Mayor, because we allocated in the budget 30,000 for out of council budget and 30,000 as grant or engineering contribution that is towards it, but it wasn't paid or done through our system, so it sits at 0 in the books.
Yeah, send, it just looks like it hasn't been done.
Possibly some paperwork to come into us for that.
What we might be able to do there is put it at 100% complete with a variance of 60,000, and that way then it shows up as a clear saving. Is that possible?
Well, we are saving of 30,000.
Sorry.
Mr. Mayor,
You're right.
and 30, yeah, if it didn't come in. But we have 5,000 from GVA sitting, one of the contributors.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and I think if we can get into that process of having our quarterly budget reviews, there might be some development there where because that's purely on dollars spent, not actually progress. So in time, it would be great to be able to see something there. We might have spent 80% of the budget right up front because it's lead time ordering on big items, and on that metrics it shows that we've done 80% of the work, where really we've just ordered it. We could still have a lot of the work to do. It would be nice to have maybe a column there on the physical completion of the project.
Timelines.
Another indicator other than just the physical money that we spent. Because we can, projects we make savings on where everything falls into line and we complete the project but save 25% of the budget. Either we over budgeted or there were savings made, or and other ones where 125% over and still haven't finished.
That project is the classic example of that because it is actually 100% practically completed. And yet we're still saying zero because from the financial perspective for us, we have invested literally zero funds into it. So, yeah.
For you, Mr Mayor, is that why some of these have got zero as well? What? The variant, like it's got here, we've got a variant, say for the upgrade of Derrimut Pool, 179. It's just still on zero. Is that because it wasn't out, it was just funding money and not us? Is that why that's zero?
I'm not sure.
So what was our call?
We haven't done any work on there yet. The order's been placed for the equipment, but nothing's hit the ground yet.
So the system also has committed cost, but hasn't paid yet.
And that could be what the variance is.
Yeah, so we've only spent $259, so because of rounding, it's just showing as 0%. Because we haven't.
Yeah.
Place the orders, but no money's changed.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we can add a line of committed costs in this and then give explanation on that. Because some of the projects literally are committed, but this sheet only covers any actual cost in it. So, which would show that
those dollars come up.
that those projects have started or they're underway. We can add a column for committed cost and then.
That's what Councillor Arthur wants as well.
Yeah, just even if it's part of that quarterly budget review, like at least 4 times a year, or 3 times, and then at the end of the year, we can have like a little bit of a report saying, as Paul said, at this stage we've committed, we know the plan or whatever materials cost this much, we've placed the order, we just haven't been billed for it. We're looking at works being done in Q3.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, which we are doing under the plan sheet.
Yep.
So we do add committed costs that
Yeah,
which is pending, so we can add that and have some more commentary on the project.
but yeah, as part of that budget review process, I think we probably need to give a bit more direction on how, within reason, how we would like the information presented and how the importance of some of it, because it would be handy to be able to like go to the community and say, oh, yep, we've purchased this, but we're not actually planning on doing the works on the ground until after December or around Easter.
Progress report.
Well,
Councillor Arthur, progress
yeah,
report.
even just a small,
I'm looking at this, and at this point in time, sorry, at this point in time, we're 3 months into this year. 3 months into this year, and by looking at the sheets that we've been given, there's hardly any jobs. I know that there'd be jobs out there started, but by looking at paper, there's hardly any jobs been started on paper.
So they've been ordered, they're in the system, but
yeah.
not realising, so that's a good one to put in there.
And this year we've rolled over a few projects from last year, so we've actually got more work to deliver in the budget than the initial budget on its own, so it's, and fingers crossed with the weather, we do get some rain, but not too much. That's gonna interrupt our ability to deliver that as well.
We'll get it across there, all right.
Can I have somebody move that we receive the community care services report, please? Councillor Gleeson, second Councillor Arthur. Those in favour? So moved.
Mr. Mayor, at the end of the quarter, it still shows a profit. We, on the CHSP, we haven't received as much grants as we usually do. They have some new methodology there to release grants, and
that correct?
Questions? Thank you, Simon. Right, so we move the works report be received, please. Agenda item 351. Councillor Plum, seconded Councillor Hampson. Those in favour? 7-0. Chris.
Mr. Mayor. Just in addition to the report, I attended both the roads technical group meeting last Friday and the water sewer alliance meeting. In addition to that, there was also a continuation of a strategic planning activity we've been doing as part of the RAP group, the Water and Sewer Alliance, that commenced back in March last year. So facilitators were back out just to check in and essentially working with the chair, make sure that some of those projects that have been identified as opportunities were now being championed and led. Financial implications to council, nil, other than currently whatever membership to the group costs us, and other than time on a couple of activities that I've nominated myself for. We'll just continue to work with the group in that way. Flood damage, big one for flood damage for us is that at the end of this calendar year sees the deadline for our 19-20 program. Reasonably comfortable where we sit at the moment with that. However, the biggest threat to that situation is the weather, and noting the update from QRA, the new NEMA, National Emergency Management Agency, that attended last week or the week before. We are expecting a wetter, high chance of wet weather throughout the season. So it is something that we're taking a closer look at. The risk is managed by the fact that we're currently building a submission from the event that occurred over the Anzac Day weekend this year. So anything that remains incomplete as that deadline approaches, we simply roll over. So we've picked up the entire of the network, and anything that is left incomplete will roll into that submission that we're currently building. So even if incomplete, we still manage that risk and just simply roll that submission into to what we're building currently to go to QRA.
Thank you, Chris. Questions, please, councillors.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, do we have a potential opening or completion date for the new landfill site?
No, through you, Mr. Mayor, not yet. So I'm engaged with, so I had a meeting with the Mayor and CEO. I think maybe just the week of the last council meeting. Since that time, we've come up with a bit of a plan that will see engagement through the LawMac group and reaching out to organisations such as ProTerra, which was just a chance opportunity. So Friday week ago, I had a meeting with a rep from ProTerra to have a look at our current landfill and our new landfill site. She's actually been here previously. I think she might have been here at a LawMac meeting last year. She mentioned herself, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
And was happy to take all the information and any inquiries that we've received from Des on board, and they're going to feed back a bit of an informational report to us. There's a lot that we need to step through that I think that we need to take our time to make sure that we're not putting ourselves or extending the situation we've got with our current landfill facility. And some of those considerations that need to be made do have budget implications, and that centres around mainly the operational component of the how we're going to do this, how we're going to man it, because it's simply something that I don't believe, or I believe leaves too much risk for council if we go open it up and it becomes a free-for-all without the control that really needs to be put in place to ensure that we're not creating a situation or perpetuating a situation that we've currently got existing with our current facility.
Yep, right, thank you.
Councillors, further questions?
Mr Mayor,
Councillor Gleeson.
I think it's the appropriate time for me to bring this up while the Director of Works report. I've had a couple of phone calls from residents on the Alpha Tambo Road, and the query is the material that was carted onto the road. The material that's been carted onto the road is an inferior quality. I drove along the road very recently in a road train. There's no binding material. It doesn't bind. It will not roll in. It is very, very little material. And I've had a couple of phone calls over it, and I've seen it myself. I don't know who designs the idea of where the gravel comes from. But I would just like to let you know and let everybody know that the material that has been put there for miles and miles and miles, and we know where it comes from, is very, very inferior material. Thank you.
Mr Mayor, if the discussion's going to carry on.
I'm watching it closely.
Yeah.
Through you, Mr Mayor, look, I'll have to
noted, I think.
I'll have to investigate.
The short answer I can give you is that the design for the material is actually Transport and Main Roads.
Transport Main Roads?
It's their specifications, both where it's put and the material composition, the actual physical composition is devised by next door.
It's such a shame. It's such a shame to think there's been lots and lots of dollars spent there, and the material there's no binding. It will not bind. It's not a little issue at all. Thank you. Just want to bring that up.
Other questions for the Director of Works?
See, I just want to say something on that. And I don't know the material, so I'm not doubting what Councillor Gleeson's just said, but I know there's been a bit of work done on the Arrowmouth-Ilfracombe Road, and when that material went down too, I thought this is very ordinary and it's not going to come together. But probably 18 months later, it's a pretty good job. It's had a bit of time on it, a bit of traffic and a bit more works on it. And it's a lot better now than I initially thought it was going to be. So I don't know if that's, if that happens a lot, but that bit of work that's been done on that road, that certainly happened there.
Councillor Peebles, further comments? Somebody move Damien's report. Agenda item 361. Seconder, Councillor Peebles. Those in favour? 7-0. Damien.
Sorry, I missed who was the...
Plum Peebles.
Oh, Plum and Peebles, thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I just want to let council know that the shed, the men's shed in Jericho, and the awning they've been ordered. I've actually spoken to the builders that are doing it. It's going to be into the early new year, just to give a progress side of things there. And it's mainly because of the supply and demand at the moment with from the LISAR companies that they deal with. So I think it's just a bit of a thing with everything at the moment, just trying to get the supply and demand that way as well. The other thing I just wanted to raise was the the Barrels for Cause charity ball the other day in Alpha, a couple of days earlier, the race course was another very successful event. I believe a lot of fundraising in that there as well. And we also had the 10th anniversary of the Rolly Roberts Golf Day on in Alpha there, which was another really good event for the local golf club up there as well. The Rural Aid catch-up that I sat in the other day with the Rural Aid team was actually with a lady that did a presentation from Donnybrook in Western Australia, and what she was working on then is actually trying to help community groups and trying to get to get public liability insurance. So that was one of the key things. Some of these smaller places, they're actually having like one committee as such in a community, small community. They're actually taking over the risk assessment for all the other groups to come on board that way as well. Because it just seems to be a big thing for the people that are trying to do fundraising and just trying to come up with those costs. So it was quite interesting, the presentation that I got sent through the other day. So, and that's about it.
Questions for Damien?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, now, what would be the appropriate time? Can I ask District Manager Alfred Jericho to organise a subgroup LDMG meeting? Probably the next couple of weeks aren't ideal, but sort of 3 weeks out to a month is probably okay. And depending on
A good
QFS
day.
and Queensland Health. And
A good day might be when after this meeting, when we set out, have a look at what day our community consultation is going to be on as well.
Yeah.
Further questions? Shall I have somebody move for Paul's report be received, 371. Councillor Gleeson, seconded Councillor Peoples. Those in favour? 7-0. Paul.
Just through you, Mr. Mayor, most of my projects are on track. Just bring your attention there to the horse paddocks. That's was put on the vendor panel and came back at 106,000. So we're just revamping that one, looking at the plans and
The budget again
that
was?
one, 30.
Bill's gone up.
Yeah, steel's gone up. So yeah, we're just re-looking at that one. And also the sale for the 4 Lord Street blocks fell through, the buyers pulled out. So they can go on the market again if you want to sell those or keep them for future development, whatever we decide. But yeah.
Questions for Paula?
Just an observation, Mr. Mayor, I was over at Munnabara the other day, the mural on the western side of the hall is wonderful.
No.
Thank you. And also Loud Shirt Day is Friday. So if anyone wants to come over for breakfast, 7 o'clock Friday morning.
Time flies, and it feels like last year. Just the other day. Can I have somebody move Jenny's report, please? Agenda item 381. Councillor Plum, seconded Councillor Arthur. Those in favour? 7-0. Jenny?
We were talking earlier before, Mr. Mayor, the shade installation at the rec park. It's been installed. There has been some conversations and some emails from representatives of the Water Sports Club, because I did receive an email about a donation that was made by a business in town that came directly to council, and I reaffirmed to them that that was made. We did receive those funds. They're asking for that at the moment, but there's some further conversations got to be had around that. Mr. Mayor, and I believe you've been talked about, because Samad and I had some very long conversations about the item in the budget, about the 60, because we've been advised that the water sports people were advised of that money in the budget item, but we've got to have those conversations about where it goes from here with our lack of involvement in the funding that they receive.
Yeah, that's right, that the 60 is really actually only 30 because they've already got most of the 30 given directly to them.
True, Mr. Mayor, so yes. So that's where the conversation's got to be had, and I'm going to have a conversation with one of the representatives this week.
Excellent.
Yeah. That representative has already spoken to you, and a representative from the business that donated the cash funds to council. So, yeah.
I didn't get a chance to follow up with him yesterday, but...
Yeah. No, I had a quick chat when he was leaving yesterday, and he said, yes, he has had the conversation, but we didn't go any further on that as well. So he said there has been some discussions around that. Going to start the consultation process with the pool lessee and a representative from the community has had a lot to do with our pool over the years about the filtration system. Don't think the funding's going to come through from the other sources. We were talking earlier before about committed costs for projects that are there, which we're not seeing in there. The town hall, there is a committed cost in there for the flooring. The supplier is waiting on that for delivery, and they're scheduling that work for December. The administration office upgrades, we're still waiting for the requirements for what we need to actually talk about negotiations there. Lagoon Creek seating, we're just waiting for those to arrive. Landscaping, this probably requires some community consultation or consultation with at least councillors about, what our priorities are up there. Following our meeting yesterday, I did go and find where it was at a meeting in Alpha where there was this interpretive plan provided by a gentleman that was in Longridge at the time about, what they would envision that the rec park could do. It was quite high end. I actually found that this morning. I was trying to get it onto a USB, but it is on our S drive, which we'll try. You can't email it because it's a video and it's quite large. I think I even struggled to get it onto the USB today, just showing what that concept plan was. Definitely, well and truly was big. I think, Damien would remember it. Yeah, it was presented to council. I'm not sure, Mr. Mayor, if you were on council at the time. I think it might have been in your first term because Stephen Boxall was the CEO at the time. So that was out there. So I'll try and get that so you can all have a look at it. So it's quite a big picture. It does look pretty impressive. Apart from that, I don't think there was too much else that I need to speak to. No. Everything else seems all good. Oh, and I will just say that Full Circle art exhibition at the Globe, if anyone didn't get an opportunity to go up and have a look at it, it was really well done. He was the artist that did the mural in Muttaburra. He went from here to Muttaburra. So he is the graffiti artist, but his artwork, if you saw the photograph that he painted the picture of, you would have thought it was the photograph actually put on a canvas. It was very well done. He was a brilliant artist, so yeah. He was more about exhibiting his artwork than the sales side of it, but there was some really nice scenes from Alwea, he called it the Billabong and Aramac, and beautiful sunsets from Boulia, and so it was in these areas, so yeah, it was really well done. Thank you.
Questions for Jenny? Thank you, Jenny.
Not a question, Mr. Mayor, just a comment. Deputy Mayor Rogers and myself attended the seniors morning tea, and I've got a list of comments, I guess, that I'm in the process of doing up to give to council.
Thank you.
Dear Mr. Mayor, may I just make a comment about that? Whilst we're here, rather than if it was, I thought it might have come up in questions I noticed because the coordinator did speak to me after that meeting. I'm probably very saddened by the fact that the people take all their comments to those meetings. I am normally invited. I was overlooked this time. They take their comments to those meetings, and the unfortunate thing, most of those comments the first we hear about it is when they come back from there. It's disappointing that they don't come to our council office to report or address their concerns to us. I find it a little bit disappointing, I guess, in the fact that it makes myself and my staff feel a little bit inadequate or that we're not doing our jobs.
I did make comment that
Thank you, Councillor.
whether it be an overgrown allotment or a barking dog, that, to contact the district, or whether it's here or Aramac. I didn't specifically say whether it's here or Aramac or whatever, but
Thank you.
But yeah, I will do them up and pass them on.
Just to add to that, Mr Mayor, most of it, there was a lot of positive.
Yeah.
There's really not that many issues. I think it was greatly improved from the first time that you led it to now, so, which is hopefully good.
Other comments or questions for Jenny?
I was just going to add to that, Mr Mayor, before too, from Christian's great murals and stuff that he does, his artwork. He's actually also done the Good Shed in Alpha, the railway there. They painted that mural there, and it's to go at the back of the Tourist Information Centre there. So, and it turned out really good again. Yeah.
No further thoughts, questions, comments? Time being 10:07, we will break